Hey there, YouTube family. Welcome to the Stocks with Josh show. Yesterday, I was in Washington, D.C., and I went to the SEC Capitol building. And there was a coffee shop across the street called Ebenezer's. And I sat in that coffee shop visiting with family, but also thinking about the idea of Gary Gensler somehow coming across the street out of the SEC building and having the opportunity to confront him on what he's done to the crypto market, the attack against cryptocurrency perpetrated by the head of the SEC. Guys, I went over and I pulled on the doors to see if I could step in and even talk to somebody at the SEC and see if I could answer some questions, if they had anybody that would be willing to go over a few things with me. Of course, the doors were locked in the middle of the day and there was no access to the general public. That's what I found out was going on. Guys, we obviously know that crypto is under attack. There's only two exchanges in the world that are really handling the majority of all trading, all Bitcoin spot trading and all altcoin trading. We know that's Binance and Coinbase. And we know that Gary Gensler, in a 1-2 punch earlier this week, attacked both of them. Now, I understand, as I said in a previous video, that Binance may have some problems and they may need some greater transparency, but I also know that Binance and Coinbase have been seeking clarity publicly and privately with the SEC for years. I also know that Gary Gensler was paraded before Congress and he was pressed by congressmen and congresswomen on what security, which cryptos might be securities and how is he going to define it. And all he did was give elusive answers. The American people, the congressmen, the exchanges, and you and I are all looking for clarity from them, right? Because that's the way that we want to invest. We don't want to just invest blindly in something that's outside the bounds of regulation. And we know that the very minute that the SEC and Gary Gensler brings clarity to the American people, we know that all that big institutional money will come flooding into the space, causing all of our crypto portfolios that we've taken a risk at getting into early pre-regulation to skyrocket. That's what we're looking for. So we're not fighting the regulations. We're not fighting the regulators. We're looking for them to come and to take part in this absolutely innovative, groundbreaking, world-changing technology that is blockchain. Now, what was very interesting about what they have done in this attack, or this initial step, depending on how you wanted to characterize it, is they did not go after Ethereum, which on one hand is great news. They didn't go after Ethereum or Bitcoin. They've left them alone. They've not declared them illegal, but they've gone after some other common coins like ADA, Matic, Solana. These are widely traded crypto projects with massive teams behind them. At the end of this video, I'm going to play a clip by Charles Hoskins, one of the founder of Cardano, ADA, and I think he does a great job just sort of touching on the entire subject and what this moment in history is about. And at the end of this video, I'm just going to leave you guys with that clip. But one of the big questions that all of us have to answer, and we have to answer it real quick, is what do we do with these cryptos that have been targeted by the SEC? Well, there's a lot of them that have been targeted, but three that I own a lot of is ADA, Solana, and Matic. I own more of Matic and ADA than I currently have of Solana because I had recently reduced my position. I'm going to go into the financial view of this and what I think is going to happen, and I'm just going to remind everybody of the opportunity that this negative news has created for all of us. But before I do that, I wanted to read to you guys the notice that came out to Robinhood. There's a lot of people that hold their crypto on Robinhood, Webull, and other platforms other than Coinbase. A lot of the retail public holds some on Robinhood, and this is what they said. All right, so this week they said, Cardano, ADA, Polygon Matic, Solana, Sol update. We regularly review the crypto we offer on Robinhood. Based on our latest news, we've decided to end support for Cardano, Polygon, and Solana on June 27th, 2023 at 6:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. No other coins are affected, and your crypto is still safe on Robinhood. What does this mean? You can continue to buy, sell, and hold ADA, Matic, and Sol until the deadline. You will be able to transfer ADA, Matic, and Sol until June 27th. If you live in Hawaii, it goes on with some other things. So here's what it goes on to say. It basically says there's a deadline, June 27th. You can continue to buy these products here and you can continue to sell them. But on June 27th, any of this that you have in your account will automatically be sold as a market order, at 7 p.m. there Eastern Standard Time, 6:59. So there's going to be a lot of people that neglect this. There's going to be a lot of people that don't pay attention to it. And then that moment in time is going to come, and you put a bunch of market orders in by an exchange. And I'm sure that that time correlates to some other dynamics of the SEC's regulation. So it wouldn't surprise me if more than one exchange who's taking the same position as they are going to market order sell these top cryptos at that exact time. This is going to put an additional moment of sales pressure on these coins. We've seen all of them sell off. We've seen all of them go back to their recent lows. A lot of cryptos that weren't even on the list of the SEC being targeted by the SEC, we've seen them go to their recent lows, right? But so here's what you have to do. You can actually buy this dip, and you can transfer your coins off of these platforms. You've got some time to do that, and you can transfer them over to an ADA wallet. You can transfer them over to a Ledger cold storage wallet, and you can own them in your wallet safely, and nobody can touch them. Nobody can do anything to you. Nobody has access to them. It's why we've been saying on this channel for over a year, get your crypto off of the exchanges, because if it's on the exchange, it's subject to whatever they want to do with it. But you have it in your cold wallet, you can hold it forever. You don't ever have to do anything with it. You can just wait to see if it goes up. You don't have to spend it. You don't got to do anything with it. So let's just take a step back and consider ADA in particular. You guys know that I own a lot of ADA. Matter of fact, I own so much ADA. I own so much of these three coins that it's dropped around 30% this week due to the SEC's actions, due to Gary Gensler's actions. That 30% is more than most people, the average annual income in the US. It's more than that. So I can tell you that this has personally affected me. And this video, again, is not to advise any of you of what you should buy, sell, or hold. It's simply to tell you what I'm doing with my money, what I'm doing with my trades, what I'm doing with my crypto, and why I'm doing it. I did not sell any. I had some swing ADA, and I occasionally have swing ETH, and I occasionally have swing Bitcoin and some others. But right now, I've been out of those trades, and the only thing that I own is my long-term accumulation bag, you would say. And I did not sell any of it, and I'm actually okay with that. Matter of fact, I bought. I'm going to go into some of the economics to put all this into perspective for you guys. And again, I hope that you take some encouragement to the video I put at the end with Charles Hoskins and his view on this entire subject. But just real quick, if you need better trade tools, there's a link in the top pinned comment to the moomoo investment app. They're currently going to match $100. If you put $100 into your account, they're going to put an additional $100 into your account, and they're going to give you free stock. Each of those stocks that they give you that is free has a value potentially anywhere from $3 on the low end to $2,000 on the high end. And depending on what you put into your account, you get a guaranteed share of C3AI. That's an AI stock. So this is a pretty good offer, limited time offer. Click on that link to get all the details. On that app, I host a chat group called Stock Josh Fam. Get your free stock, start your investment, let them double your account in the first day, and then come find the chat group over there. Okay, let's talk about ADA. Guys, I'm going to keep this very, very simple, and I'm actually going to share something with you that I shared with my brother-in-law since I've been out here in Maryland visiting him. I do, on the subject of being out in Maryland, I absolutely am going to do a meet and greet out here in the coming days. I'm going to pull at least Larry out here with me, if not the core four. And we're going to do a meet and greet out in this area, and I think it's going to be a blast because I know there's a lot of you guys out here that would love to participate in that. But okay, so I was talking to my brother-in-law, and I was telling him, about investments, and I was going over Cardano. Cardano hit, and these are going to be rough numbers just from my memory. So, if you look it up and it's a penny different, then I'm sure whatever you see in the charts is correct. Cardano in the last bull run around 2018 hit around $1.50. And after that, it fell over 90%, which is what altcoins do. They fall over 90%. And it came all the way down to 3 cents, 0.03. It held that price for a long time. And then during this last bull run, it went all the way up to it went above $3.11, right? Which was actually a 10,000% increase. 10,000%, right? Which simply means this. If you had put $1,000 into ADA in 2018, by the top of the next bull run, it would have been worth $100,000 to you. Now, all that we've done with this bad news that we've gotten from the SEC and this attack is simply come back to the 90% mark on Cardano. And if you were to buy $1,000 right now and Cardano were to hit my fib-based target, which this fib-based target is consistent with previous run-ups, okay? So I've taken the fib and I've put it on the previous bull runs for Cardano, and I'm simply using similar numbers. Now, in the last run-up, it was 10,000% up, but I'm predicting, based on the fib number, that we're only going to go up under 3,000%. So the momentum swing to the upside is diminishing. If it got to $4 and you bought $1,000 right now, would largely take you to $18,000. So this time around, $1,000 in ADA would take you to a profit of $18,000. But if we were to get to the high end of my prediction, which is $6, $1,000 in ADA right now at this dip where it hit 23 cents would actually take you to around $27,000. And you say, but Josh, the sky is falling, the charts are red, ADA's in free fall, and you're telling me that you're buying $1,000 of it? You're buying more of it right now? And the answer is absolutely. Cardano is one of the top crypto projects in the world. Everything they do is peer-reviewed at universities. These guys are a well-run ship with the most development hours out of any crypto project in the entire world. These guys stack up consistently the most development hours. They're not going anywhere. And here's really the other meat of this particular video that I want to point out to you is big money, big money is getting themselves situated into the crypto space. I'm going to go through just a handful of articles with you guys that I think are super important for you to see. Groundbreaking crypto index 401k opens up 7 trillion market beyond Bitcoin and Ethereum after huge price crash. So here's what I just want to explain to you guys. Right now, these giant investment firms like BlackRock and Fidelity are getting themselves positioned for the next bull run. These guys know that it isn't going away. Nothing's changing. We're still going to run up. Everything's on schedule. And I've showed you guys in the chart that even with all this bad news, Bitcoin is actually exactly where it should be right now to remain consistent with previous bull runs. Nothing's broken down. And nothing's breaking down. And Cardano hasn't broken down. Cardano is only still, with this horrendous news, it's only pulled back to around the 90% mark, which is actually the healthy buy signal point of entry for altcoins. So I'm just going to say to you guys that it's hard to buy when there's blood in the streets and there's uncertainty. We know that these exchanges like Robinhood and Webull and Coinbase might dump their bags. They might dump them all on the same day. We're going to climb back up. We're going to have another tick down on June 27th, and then we're going to go up from there. It's simply what I foresee happening. And, you know, you don't want to FOMO into crypto, Bitcoin, and Ethereum. And there's going to come a moment when Bitcoin is 34K and all of these cryptos are off of their lows. And then at that point, you're going to find the courage to begin to invest. And I'm going to tell you, if you paid attention to one of my recent videos on cryptos, if you remember, if you had the courage to buy at the low, the percentage markup to their projected price predictions that I gave you guys was way more. We're talking the difference between 300% and 80%. So yes, there's a big gain potential, but it changes dramatically if you're not buying the low. And, you know, here's another thing. FTX was the largest exchange in the U.S. with all sorts of endorsements and you know, buddies with politicians and the SEC. They seemed very well protected, and I never liked Sam Bankman-Fried. I had made that known on this channel. I said he just didn't seem honest to me even before FTX had fallen, but I didn't predict that they would fall. But when they fell, it brought Bitcoin down to its lows. And here we are with potentially even more intense news going against cryptocurrency, and yet we're not at our lows. Bitcoin is up at 25,000 and all these altcoins have not fallen back entirely to their lows. Some have, but in my opinion, it's already showing us strength. It's already showing us that nothing is off script. So I hope that this has been a little bit of encouragement to you. And I would say at bare minimum, take the opportunity to begin to build a crypto portfolio and consider investing $25 a week, whatever it is you can afford, into some of these top crypto projects. On the point of which coins are going to do better, Bitcoin is going to be a natural winner. Ethereum is going to be a natural winner. Even though they've pulled back a little bit, the fact is we don't know exactly how all the altcoins are going to shake out, but the Fed has told us something extremely important about the future, which is he's going to leave Bitcoin and Ethereum alone, which means that they're going to soar. They're going to fly. As I've told you guys before, the lowest price prediction I have for Bitcoin is 80,000. So you can get an asset right now that sells at 25,500 that might be 80,000. And then Ethereum right now trading around 1,700. My lowest prediction is around 10 grand for Ethereum. And here's what is the most important thing that you guys need to hear, right? It's that these companies, BlackRock, Fidelity, State Street, Vanguard, JP Morgan, all of them are getting positioned for the next bull run. They were not interested and not positioned in the last bull run. The last bull run constituted private investment in sovereign funds and things of that nature, retail market. This is going to be the first bull run where the big boys participated, which means that it has the potential of having the most volatile moves up and down. And I'm telling you guys, this might be one of the last times that Bitcoin runs up the way that it is. Things are beginning to level out. Bitcoin's becoming a mature asset, and some altcoins are becoming more mature. They're becoming large cap altcoins. But this may be one of the last times that this pattern of volatility, this consistent pattern of volatility, goes the way that it's been going in the past. We got the big boys participating, and the script hasn't changed. The technicals haven't changed. I've shown you guys the technicals, and I'm telling you, they're exactly the same as every other crypto cycle. The timeline, the crossover, everything is on schedule. This didn't affect or ruin anything. You needed anyways to get your money off of the exchanges. You needed to get your cryptos off of the exchanges. I would say that you have the opportunity to don't sell your crypto. You have the opportunity to be buying this dip, and then you've got the opportunity to transfer it over to a cold storage wallet or a wallet on your phone, right? You have the opportunity to do that right now at the best possible prices, giving you the best possible return in the days ahead. Let me just cover this next article with you. 14 trillion earthquake. Fidelity and BlackRock are quietly laying the groundwork for the next Bitcoin, Ethereum, and crypto price bull run. Guys, they're telling you, right while retail is panic selling, they're literally telling you in the news that Fidelity and BlackRock are laying a $14 trillion foundation or opportunity for crypto in the next bull run. The last bull run, we hit 2 trillion. They're saying 14 trillion. So we're talking highs on Bitcoin and Ethereum that could be way higher than anything I give you on this channel. If you're getting a price prediction from me, it's a chart-based conservative price prediction based on what we can see or know the pattern has been in the past. But there's adoption and there's world events that could affect this and cause it to go so much higher than what I'm able to foresee right now. And when I hear numbers like Fidelity and BlackRock are preparing a $14 trillion foundation, that just tells me that the smart money, the big money, the whales, they're getting their bags, and they often take their bags away from retail. It's a guy with $1,000 over on Robinhood who just got a notice saying that it was going to get sold anyways, who's panic selling rather than taking the time, just a little bit of effort on maybe a Saturday morning or a Sunday afternoon to figure out how to transfer it off, right? There's going to be massive gains. A lot of people talk to me about investing, and solid investing in the stock market, you're looking at a 10% gain. You're looking at the potential of maybe a 20% gain. The day traders can do better or worse. But crypto is actually a very predictable place, offering incredible gains. We're talking, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 10x gains, and it's being offered to the general public. It comes with much higher risk, and so you've got to do your research and you've got to figure out how to do things. But the opportunity is there to take a small amount of money and get it much larger, but there's big risk. So that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm watching. I'm going to leave you guys with a video by Charles Hoskin, which I was inspired by. It's just a little clip. If you're interested, watch that as well. As always, I just want to thank everybody for the likes. I want to thank you all the new subscribers that join every day. I appreciate you guys joining this community. Peace and blessings, my friends. We'll see you in the next video. Check out this from Charles Hoskins.
So a lot of you watching are saying, oh, what's Charles going to say about recent news items and events, about Cardano, all these things going on? Well, it's a decentralized ecosystem, and the magic of being a decentralized ecosystem is this ecosystem is certainly going to speak for itself. Nobody speaks on behalf of it, and there are millions of people in it and thousands of people building on it. And we've already heard from DC Spark, we've heard from Wing Riders, and we're going to hear from everybody else. You see, the reality is that when you're a protocol that has inspired people and it means something to them, people take care of it. And it's really refreshing to see all of that in the last 12 hours. But I did want to make a video, a more philosophical one, that is in a broader context about why we fight. In 1942, U.S. Department of War released a series of 7 films called Why We Fight, that every single soldier that fought on the U.S. side in World War II was required to watch, so they'd understand what the point of the conflict was and what was at stake. Now, you can call it propaganda or you just call it good motivation, but the point was that there was a war of philosophies. On one hand, you had those who believed in democratic principles, consent of the governed, those who believed in liberty and freedom. And on the other side, you have these totalitarian regimes led by autocrats who basically wanted the world to follow their will, the few versus the many. And as we look to the 21st century and we look to where the world is moving, we face a similar philosophical debate. There are those, they're at WEF and other places, who feel that society has become intrinsically too complicated for people to govern themselves. And they feel that the few must, out of necessity, rule the many. And they wrap these things into mandates like ESG. You'll see other acronyms and words. But at the core, it's we know better than you. The cryptocurrency and blockchain industry is not an industry of a single voice, a single mission. It just simply is a movement that has some loose principles about it. And those loose principles are power to the edges, disintermediate the middleman, and freedom for as many as possible. More importantly, it's also a principle that everybody plays by the same rules. See, that's what makes Cardano so special, and that's what makes Bitcoin special, Ethereum special, and other great protocols, is this idea that everybody has to play by the same set of rules. This is not the case with the legacy systems. This has never been the case with them. Certain people get certain special privileges based upon the families they're born into, the amount of money in their bank account, and the political connections that they have. So the magic of the system we're constructing, the world we're building together, is that if we pull it off, we reset the relationship of the governed with those who govern. And what that effectively means is that the 21st century can be the first century in human history that actually can have liberty and freedom. The United States is a complicated and difficult country. We were born of a disagreement, taxation without representation. And the only reason we got the right to be a great power was because of the tremendous personal sacrifice of those who fought in the Revolutionary War and the leader who decided to put country first over himself and resign his commission, allowing the United States to create a fertile democracy. one that has been challenged again and again, from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement to today. No one's universally happy. In fact, most people are dissatisfied in general with the US government. And this is an example of the industry in its state right now. The reason why people are so passionate about crypto is that it's not an investment product at its core. It's a philosophy, it's a political belief. It's just as much regulated by the FEC as it should be others, because what people are basically doing is saying, I believe in power to the edges. I believe in self-sovereign identity. I believe in freedom and liberty. And as a result, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is and my time into this. And we're all going to come together and just figure it out and build it. An army of volunteers on a ragtag militia for the future. That's a very different thing than Microsoft and Google and Apple and Amazon and your run-of-the-mill company, your Nike, just do it. That's about all of us, each and every one of us. We just want some human rights. And we're not really so happy with where things are at. Nobody, if you poll them, would look and say, I believe the people in charge should be in charge, and we can't find anyone better. But we're stuck with them because of a political, bureaucratic, ossified process that has resulted in a two-party monopoly where it's all about power at any cost, politics. There isn't a lot of integrity there. We didn't start this industry. This industry was started in the response to a failed governance event, the 2008 financial crisis, which brewed from over 30 years of misconduct by central bankers like Alan Greenspan, Ben Bernanke, and the Treasury secretaries and U.S. policy in an incestuous relationship with banksters who, by the way, suffered no consequences for destroying the American economy. And we were told again and again, whether it was the Black-Scholes crisis of 87 or the S&L crisis in the early 90s, or it was the long-term capital crisis of 98 or the collapse of Silicon Valley, or again, it was 2008 and everything before, trust us, we know what we're doing, it'll all be better tomorrow. And yet another collapse, yet more corruption, yet more problems. So we said, you know what? We as an industry are going to come together and we're just going to do something different. Maybe we should have money that we control. Maybe we should have deflationary instead of inflationary monetary policies. Maybe, just maybe, we should own our own identity, be our own bank. Maybe, just maybe, we should have a say in how our data is used and be able to say no to something. One of the reasons I joined this industry, many years ago, I was a friend with a waitress whose husband was an undocumented immigrant, and he was a drywaller. Well, I used to go to the restaurant she worked at and have lunch. One day I came in, she was crying, and I said, "What's going on?" And she told me that her husband had been pulled over by police, and they saw that he had some money in the car. He was paid for a 2-month job, some cash. They confiscated it. It's called civil asset forfeiture, knowing full well that he couldn't defend himself out of fear of his status, and that they just basically get to keep the money. There was no probable cause for that. He explained to them that he was a drywaller and he'd just been paid. They took the money. That happens every day, civil asset forfeiture. That's the government we live in. That's the world we live in. This is the place we live in. And the reality is that we as a society can and must do better. We have to either acknowledge that we don't respect rule of law and property rights. We have to acknowledge that this is not a democracy, or we have to embrace systems that protect the individual. This was the intent of the Constitution. This was the intent of what we originally started the American experiment with. And because our governance system failed to live up to our expectations, we as citizens rose up peacefully, expressed our political will in speech, and created a new system, one that holds everyone accountable equally and goes from don't be evil to can't be evil. One that says you have to consent before something happens. One where you're in control, not somebody you've never met. The next 10 years are going to be the biggest years of change in all of our lifetimes. This is it. It's like the 1930s staring at the 1940s. Everybody knows something's brewing. They don't quite know what exactly is going to happen, but they know nothing will ever be the same again. The reality is that we have a great convergence of trends and technologies which will completely redefine everything from how our governments operate to who's in control to who has a say over how your life goes. So quickly we noticed the COVID lockdowns, how we all went from living in a free society to not. How quickly can things change with the world of generative AI? With global transnational agreements being signed, where nation states no longer have full say over their people. And yes, finance is going to be in the crosshairs. There are people who want to create CBDCs, and these CBDCs are not just about more efficient money. They're not just about somehow getting rid of cash because that's better for society, according to a few. They're about putting the control of what you're allowed to spend your money on into the hands of people you've never met, you don't vote for, and are unaccountable to any legislative process. And in some cases, don't even live in your country. If, for example, you've already filled your tank of gas this week, maybe you're not allowed to do that until next week because you've got your weekly allotment. That can be decided by a bureaucrat, not the president, not your congressman, but by someone you've never met from an agency you probably don't even know about. The same can be said for any activity that's determined to be not socially beneficial or fit into a particular agenda. This system is not a hypothetical scenario. It's one that's being put into place with social credit in the People's Bank of China today, right now, for over 1.5 billion people, and has already been deployed, thanks to partnerships with Tencent and others, to over 200 million people. Here in America, there are many people who subscribe that this is a good idea inside our federal bureaucracy. The only problem is that there's a glitch in the matrix. You see, you don't actually need to do a CBDC if your goal is efficient digital money. You can use a cryptocurrency for that. So our industry is an uncomfortable counterexample to a reality that some people have already decided the human race needs to exist within for the greater good because of the proliferation of existential technologies, global warming, and other concerns that keep them up at night. Thus, our industry has to be captured. Sometimes they move quickly, sometimes they move slowly, but it's always one direction. A little less freedom every day, a little less opportunity every day, a little less innovation, a little less control, until one day you wake up like a boiling frog and it's gone. So the next 10 years is going to be the great test for all of us. And we have to stand up and rise to the occasion and tell people we should own our own money, own our own identity, and ultimately be in control of our lives. We shouldn't accept that out of convenience or fear that somebody we've never met, somebody who doesn't even live in our country, gets to have more say than the people we elect. That's something that we have gone past as a society, as a species. That's what you would expect living in ancient times and being conquered, not in a world that's post-enlightenment, where information is accessible instantaneously. It's going to be either a utopia or a hell, but there isn't really a middle ground. So that's why we fight. That's why we're in the cryptocurrency industry. If you're here to make money, there's plenty of more money to be made in synthetic biology or AI or other things. If you just view this as some sort of passive investment, you've completely missed the entire point of where all the passion, the excitement, the enthusiasm, and the armies come from. There are tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of people who have learned these lessons over the last 13 years and have decided to devote their lives towards freedom, and devote their lives towards a greater, better world, one where every single person rises together, not just the few. That's what I signed up for. That's why I fight. And that's why when you have some craziness in today or yesterday or tomorrow doesn't really bother me that much. You see, there will be bigger foes than this, that, or other. The reality is we're facing the entire global order. And I think we're going to win because I believe in the goodness of people. That's the last point. You have to make one big decision in life, whether you believe people are fundamentally evil and corrupt, or you believe people are fundamentally good, but sometimes make mistakes. I've always, throughout my entire life, believed end to end that people are basically good. And if given an opportunity to rise, they can and they will. And based upon that belief, everything flows from there. You see, it's a big decentralized ecosystem. It's chaotic at times. But, people will come together because they believe that we have an opportunity to do things not just differently, but better than we did before. And not just with Cardano, but the industry as a whole. The tens of millions of people, the trillions of dollars, the enormity of what we have been able to accomplish as an industry in the last 13 years makes everyone pale in comparison and truly cannot be stopped. We will see a day where DIDs are the dominant way of identifying people and you're in control of the keys, not a corporation or a government or a transnational body. We will see a day where when you have money in your wallet, you own that, not an IOU from an organization that at any time can take it from you for no particular reason, or you violated a particular policy or agenda. And we will see those who want to drag us into the past, who have authoritarian bends because they feel that they're better qualified to run your life and society than you are, return to the history books as yet another group of people that lost the political fight. Some days it's a hard road. Some days it's an easy road. We've had a lot of easy times recently, but I've been in it since the beginning, and I could tell you that there were some harder times. We're now in a phase where we do have to have our voices be heard, and we do have to remind people that this is a collective exercise as one gargantuan, decentralized, resilient, living organism that just wants to improve things. For our part, we write protocols, we write code, and our protocols and code that we design and develop goes into the public domain. People debate it. Some people adopt it, other people don't. We are one cog in a gigantic machine, and you are too. So I think our future is brighter than ever. I think that we have our best days ahead of us, and I honestly do believe that the lessons of the past, if we take wisdom from them, can be applied here. It always seems dark, and it always seems like these are tough days. That's okay. They were tough days in the 1950s when my grandfather fought in the Korean War. They were tough days when, on the other side of my family, the Norwegian side fought against the Nazis in World War II. They were tough days when the Italian side immigrated to the United States with just the shirts on their back. A lot of hope that they would be able to build a great life in America. And you know what? That's a story that so many of you listening have or are currently enduring. So when you have an army built with people like that who have true grit, we can endure some tough days. We can endure some chaos. We can endure a little bit of madness. Choke point 2.0 is a thing. We see it across the whole industry, from speedy banks being rejected accounts to basically everything becoming a security now, I guess. But if you widen the aperture and you look at the overall progress, we've gone from being totally ignored to winning as an ecosystem. All we have to do is just keep building. And all we have to do is allow our voices to be heard and remind people we're not going away. Freedom is only one generation away at any given time from being completely and absolutely lost, because those who come after us may not remember the lessons that we had to learn. And every generation has to rediscover what freedom means for them. Never allow anyone to tell you that you don't deserve human rights. Never allow anyone to tell you that you don't deserve to be in control of your own identity, your money, your economic agency, and ultimately your voice. And anyone who tries to take it from you, remind them that that's not how we do things in the 21st century. Every human being on this planet, no matter where they're born, who they're born to, what political system they're in, is equal. That's the faith I keep. And that's the belief I keep. So thank you all for being on this journey with me. It really is fun. I'm going to be here tomorrow. You're going to be here tomorrow. We're all here together. Till next time, my friends, have a wonderful day. Cheers.